In this video, we're going to give you 8 critical injury updates that will make or break your 2025 March Madness bracket. I'm Jake Letarski. He's Ryan Andrade. We're the college basketball editors at RotoWire. Ryan's got a comprehensive injury piece going up on the site today, but let's just go ahead and jump right into the players. Ryan, who is the biggest injury that we need to worry about this March?
Yeah, well, I feel like we got to start with the Wooden Award favorite, will be the number one pick in the NBA draft, Cooper Flagg. We saw him go down. It looked really ugly in the ACC tournament against Georgia Tech. Didn't play the rest of the week there. Duke was still able to pull it off and claim that ACC tournament title. They've already said Cooper Flagg, he's going to play. How healthy will he be? Will he be 100%? That's the question. You look at their draw here, he might not even need to play at all in their first game. Against a 16 seed, you would expect Duke to be able to just cruise with all the talent they have. Even the second round here, a team like Baylor, Mississippi State, both of them kind of been inconsistent all year. They got a lot of talent on this team, and they also got a lot of confidence having been able to get through the best of the ACC without him. So obviously they're going to need Cooper Flagg if they're going to win the whole thing, but I think it's just managing sort of the swelling in that ankle and making sure that he's ready when they really need him down the road here.
Yeah, for sure. He'll be a tough person to trust as far as prop betting and DFS that opening weekend, seeing how much he plays in the 116 matchup here. I'm going to go ahead and throw out some more optimistic news about a player. I want to talk about Lamont Butler of the Kentucky Wildcats. He did not play in the SEC tournament, lost to Alabama, and has missed 9 games total on the year here. So he's been banged up off and on all year, but fortunately he's expected to be back for Kentucky's opening round matchup here. They're minus 11 favorites against Troy, so they should be able to take care of that with or without heavy usage from Lamont Butler. But Lamont Butler is the main ball handler, the point guard for this Kentucky team. Takes a ton of pressure off of Otega Owe and can help Owe focus more on the scoring. And Butler's the defensive catalyst. Kentucky is a significantly better defensive team when Lamont Butler is out there on the floor. Don't forget, he was a key part of that San Diego State Aztecs team that went to the title game just 2 years ago and were in the Sweet 16 as a 5 seed last year. So Lamont Butler is a winning player. He is in right now for Kentucky. Before we get to our next player, though, I want to take a moment to remind you to head to rotowire.com/try for a 48-hour trial, no strings attached. We have team previews and profiles, daily best bets and pick'em columns for the NCAA tournament, and full player rankings and regional previews, along with a constant stream of player news and injury updates. That's rotowire.com/try for a free trial, no credit card required. Ryan, I'm tossing it over to you, who has another key injury for a potentially higher seeded team here in this NCAA tournament.
Yeah, another team out of the East bracket here, the number 2 seed Alabama Crimson Tide. Talking about Grant Nelson. This is an Alabama team that's been coming in. They've been struggling, the last few weeks. And Grant Nelson was a big key to the reason they were able to get to the Final Four a season ago. He saw a knee specialist yesterday. Apparently, what they've said is that he's avoided any sort of type of significant injury. He's listed as questionable for now. So that's a little bit of good news, hopefully, for an Alabama team that certainly has national championship aspirations here. It'll be interesting to see, sort of how limited he is at all. If he is, you would imagine a guy like Jaren Stevenson to get a little bit more action at that power forward position. But obviously, they want to have Grant Nelson healthy for the stretch run here because he's just such a dynamic player, being able to hit the outside shot, being able to compete for rebounds on the inside, being able to go coast to coast. So definitely a big player to keep an eye on is Grant Nelson.
Yeah, absolutely. Bama needs that secondary scoring option to leading scorer Mark Sears, and that's Ben Nelson for much of the year. I'm going to head over to a 3-seeded team from the South region and discuss the Iowa State Cyclones injury situation. Most notably, Keyshawn Gilbert is out for the entire tournament with a muscle strain. This significantly hurts the guard depth of the Cyclones. 13 points a game, 4 assists a game. Keyshawn Gilbert played in the Big 12 opener, tournament opener, and against Cincinnati. Only played 11 minutes and then sat out entirely against BYU. We didn't quite know the story there, but of course, after the bracket release came out, TJ Otzelberger announced that Keyshawn Gilbert would be out for the remainder of the season due to that muscle strain here, which makes Iowa State a very vulnerable 3 seed. And the thing is, I'll throw a bonus one in here. Point guard Tamin Lipsey is expected to be back Friday, but he had a groin injury that he's dealing with too. They said he was going to be available against BYU, but he ended up sitting in that loss here. Iowa State's 14.5 points favorites against Lipscomb before drawing Ole Miss or San Diego State UNC here. But without Gilbert and with Lipsey's availability, maybe in question, they haven't been straightforward with the injury reporting this year. I think the Cyclones could be at risk of an early exit with several key pieces gone. I got another top-seeded injury I want you to discuss. Ryan, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, the number 1 seed in the Midwest region, that is Houston. We're talking about Juwan Roberts. He missed the final 2 games of the Big 12 tournament with an ankle injury. Fortunately enough, Houston, again, much like Duke, they were able to win without one of their best players on the floor. Juwan Roberts, though, I mean, this guy has been the heart and soul of that team for years now. He's a 5th-year senior. They really like to go to him in the crunch time. They like to do sort of a short pick and roll with him, isolate him on one side of the floor, and let him make the right decision. So Houston, they've got sort of a tough draw. You look at a potential second-round matchup with a team like Gonzaga that's got a lot of talent and a lot of guys on the inside that can challenge them as well. Even a Clemson potential Sweet 16 matchup. So Roberts, he's already come out and said that he is going to play. As you would expect, a guy like that to just make that claim right away. But we'll see. He's another guy that, we expect him to play. How much he plays against the 16 seed in SIU Edwardsville, that'll be a question. Might be a little limited there, but you would guess all hope is looking at his health future down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Kelvin Sampson just can't seem to get through an NCAA tournament healthy despite entering with big seeds here over the last couple of years over his tenure at Houston here. I'm going to head to a double-digit seed where injuries are really going to matter, and I'm going to take a look at John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks. There's a lot going on here with Arkansas. First and foremost, Adu Thero, a 15-point-a-game scorer, 6 rebounds a game. He is doubtful for the opener against Kansas with a left knee hyperextension. Thero hasn't actually played since February 22nd, so he's been out some time. If and when he does return, he might need a little easing in here, but of course, they have to get past Kansas, and they're already 4.5-point underdogs for that game. So without Thero, Trevon Brazile, who's been around the block a bunch of times with some teams and has always had his games, he's really stepped up down the stretch. He's had some big scoring and rebounding games while Thero's been out. But that's going to be a situation Arkansas is going to have to overcome. However, on the bright side, another bonus play for you here. Freshman Boogie Fland is back from a hand injury. He is a 15.1 point per game scorer. It was thought he was going to be out for the year. He hasn't played since January 18th. But guess what? He is back at practice this week, and it looks like he will be able to contribute here in the NCAA tournament. I'm just saying, if Arkansas can sneak past Kansas in that opening round and suddenly they get a lot healthier, this is a team that is far, far better than that number 10 seed would lead you to believe here. Ryan, I'm going to toss it back to you for one more player to take a look at.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one. Tyrese Hunter went down in the AAC semifinal game with a foot injury. He was seen on the sidelines of the AAC championship game, sporting a boot, wearing crutches. So as of now, they haven't really released much as far as his status, but obviously that's not really what you want to see heading into the NCAA tournament on really not a long week at all. Tyrese Hunter is so important to this Memphis team. We know about a guy like PJ Haggerty, how great he's been this year, but having that secondary ball handler, he's really their best perimeter defender as well. That's going to be really important, especially facing, this Colorado State team that's really been rolling over the last month or so. So not a great matchup here. Memphis is actually currently an underdog as a 5 seed against the 12 seed of Colorado State. So Tyrese Hunter, hopefully we'll get some more news on him in the coming days before we go. But man, if he's not in there, it's going to be tough for Memphis to even win a game.
Yeah, and we even got an update on our site this morning that Tyrese Hunter is apparently behind his teammate Dante Harris in terms of recovery. But basically, all the Memphis ball handlers are a little bit banged up right now, so it's definitely fair to see why they might be underdogs in that opening round. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to win with RotoWire in March.